Okay, let's be totally honest here. I think we've all seen 1,000 different Springtrap 101 videos, how to play Springtrap videos, and I'm not exactly the most qualified person to, give you a 101 on Springtrap. I'm only Prestige 17, but I feel like I know, or at least I have been using, at least a few different techs that some other streamers that I've noticed playing him really haven't used or taken advantage of when playing him. So I'd like to at least very quickly explain his power, talk about some little micros you can do to maybe get the most use out of his axe and his doors, and specifically the doors, because I do have something of a pet peeve when I watch other people's gameplay on him that comes to the doors themselves. Ooh, it really frustrates me when other people don't play things perfectly. I can't understand how you don't just play a character perfectly that you've never even heard of or learned or tried at all. It's kids these days, am I right? Springtrap's power is super simple. He's got the doors, he can traverse between them. Survivors can also traverse between them, but let's be honest, it's so fucking shit for survivors. They really shouldn't ever use them. I'm gonna be super duper for real with you here. And when was the last time somebody ever said super duper? Don't worry about it. It's it's really bad for survivors. It's so easy to catch them if they are using the doors, which just means more efficiency for you. Free catch, free hook. No reason for survivors to use them. It's very fast map traversal though. Gives you free undetectable unless you're running certain add-ons, and it's just generally very strong. And then there's Spy Axe, which is supposed to be its chase power, but honestly, it's really only good in very short loops or loops that can be easily utilized similar to something like a xenomorph tail, where you can hit over it. That and also when they're typically, locked in animation. It's otherwise, oh boy, his axe is the worst part of his kit, and I want to say this in the nicest way possible. Stop holding the axe when you don't need to. If you are walking around doing random things, not chasing survivors, get that axe out of your inventory. The only thing it is doing is slowing you down. There's something right here, very important, 4.4 meters base speed. This isn't true. His base speed is 4.6 meters, but when you have the axe in your inventory, it's 4.4. The axe is slowing you down by zero point 0.2 meters, and trust me, that is an extensive amount. The Huntress is slowed to 4.4 meters, specifically because her axes have so much range that she can pressure and down survivors from virtually any distance. His axe cannot do that, and because his axe cannot do that, you shouldn't have it in your inventory like you should a Huntress axe. It's bad. Get it out of your inventory. Seriously, genuinely. Unless you are 100% planning to use it, you think survivors are going to vault something, or drop a pallet, or do any kind of action, or they're just running in a straight line, not looking at you, there is zero reason to use his axe. It will only fuck you up if you miss. It will only screw you over. Never, ever use his axe unless you're absolutely certain that you should use his axe. Otherwise, you want it out of your inventory. Throw it on the ground, and specifically, throw it next to hooks. If you throw it next to a hook after you hook someone, there's a chance that other people who go in for an early hook will get detected by the killer instinct, and then you can run straight back to the hook and interrupt the rescue, which is decent. It's not often that it happens, but it does occasionally happen, which does make it somewhat useful. Other than that, throw it near a hook, throw it on a door, literally throw it anywhere but your inventory. This thing is actively slowing you down and fucking up your gameplay. Get it out. As for his doors, the only thing I really have to say about them is just keep using them. If you go to a generator, there's no progress and no survivors around, go straight back through that door. There is no cooldown, you refresh your undetectable, and you get faster map traversal. There's no reason to walk to the next gen. Just teleport straight to it with a slightly faster animation with a refreshed undetectable, which gives you potential for a grab, even though it's not likely. It's a potential for a grab and a potential for them to fuck up in a chase because you won't have red stain or terror radius. It's purely only beneficial to just keep using the doors. The doors can spawn in very unwieldy spots, but that happens sometimes. There's nothing you can really do about that. You just got to make the most of what you got. And honestly, sometimes it can be somewhat beneficial if they're a little bit farther away or like across a wall from a generator, because that way the undetectable has more of a chance to come into play and fuck survivors up even more, potentially get you a grab. Other than that, it's kind of hard to really tell you how to use his power. It's a very simple power. Other than the doors just being very good and keep using them, and then the fire axe is slowing you down and fucking you up, get that out of your inventory. There's not much advice I can really say about his power itself. As for the add-ons and build, it's honestly completely up to you. Most of them are very strong. The extra terror radius and fast coin is good. Blocking pallets and windows is a little bit weak. It's just the problem is that it kind of fucks up your stealth. So if you're gonna run this, I would highly suggest running Bonnie's guitar strings as well for the free aura reading, since your stealth is already fucked the instant that you leave the security door, or at least go to the security door. But that's beside the point. I could talk about add-ons and perk combos all day, but me personally, I run this. And many people who will either run Springtrap or have played the game for a while will see this and go and immediately be disgusted at the fact that I have this build on. What you're seeing right now is Hex Devour Hope, Dominance, Hex Face the Darkness, and Hex Undying. For people who don't know, Hex Devour Hope gets you tokens every time that a survivor is rescued from a hook while at least 24 meters away from you. The more tokens you get, the more fucked survivors are, and if you get 5 tokens, everyone is basically dead, and they don't cleanse this totem immediately. It's of course a Hex perk, which is why I brought Hex Undying, which automatically, when another Hex totem is going to be cleansed, the that hex totem now travels to this hex totem, and this dies. I don't really know how else to explain it. It's in the description. When another hex totem would be cleansed, that totem's hex transfers to the hex undying totem. So basically, if Hex Devour Hope gets cleansed, now it's on Hex Undying. Dominance will block both of these because it blocks every single totem or chest whenever it's interacted with for the first time for 16 seconds. Not every single hex effect, I might add. So basically, if they touch Hex Devour Hope, Dominance activates, they cleanse it, it goes to Undying, they touch Undying, Dominance activates again. And this goes even better with Hex Face the Darkness. When a survivor is injured, Hex Face the Darkness will become active, deactivating when a survivor enters the dying state or gets healed. While it is active, any survivors outside your terror radius scream every 25 seconds, revealing their positions and auras. This happens repeatedly every single 25 seconds, as I previously stated, which can be very, very strong because it can be active for a very, very long time. And even better, once it enters the dying state or a survivor enters the dying state or becomes healthy, the totem becomes dull and then it will travel to a different hex totem. Basically, what this means is that Hex Face the Darkness will activate, Dominance will activate on Hex Face the Darkness, maybe a survivor gets downed or they heal someone while they're waiting for it to get undominated, and then it travels to a different totem, meaning that other totem will get Dominance on it again. If you don't know, that makes Face the Darkness almost uncleansable. It's still very cleansable, but that's beside the point. Now you might notice exposure on Devour Hope, which might not make any sense, because, oh, Springtrap's an M2 killer, right? He has an axe. Yeah, but his axe sucks balls. There's almost no reason to be using his axe outside of specific situations and specific loops and chases. If you're just running after Survivor, you don't want your axe in your inventory. It's an active detriment to your gameplay. Don't run it. Don't have it ever in your inventory whatsoever. As for add-ons, I honestly, because I despise the axe so much, think you should really only be running streamers and security guards badge, or at least some sort of door add-on, because of how beneficial the doors are and how shit the axe is. Oh, of course, you can make axe builds work. You can make almost any kind of build work, and I'm not saying the axe is bad. It's perfectly fine and acceptable in chases and in certain loops, and if chases if survivors are just running in a straight line, which how often do survivors do that? Unfortunately, more than you'd like, but that's beside the point. Basically, what these two do is the only thing that I need, which is increased speed through security doors and longer undetectable. This helps me get grabs and get kills much easier, and the increased speed lets me just have much better map traversal in general. It's just factually straight buffs to the doors, which is just fantastic because the doors are already fantastic. I can't really say much else about this build. It's all focused around fucking survivors' minds. Not like that, not YouTube, not like that, YouTube, not like that, YouTube. Basically, Devour Hope Devour Hope is something that people don't expect you to be running on Springtrap because it's Springtrap. He's an M2 killer, right? So they see Devour Hope, they're like, okay, weird. I guess he's not good with the axe, so we'll just, cleanse every totem and we'll be fine. But then, of course, it's very well protected, triple wrapped, but then there's Face the Darkness. And Face the Darkness doesn't make any sense with Devour Hope either. See, Face the Darkness activates and then deactivates when the survivor enters the dying state. So because survivors will be exposed and instantly down from basic attacks, why the fuck would you run Face the Darkness, right? But survivors aren't insta-downed by your axe, meaning that you can still activate Face the Darkness and still keep the effects from Devour Whole. If you don't plan on chasing a survivor, throw the axe into their back, activate Face the Darkness, and find where every single other survivor is so that you can now find them and kill them with Devour Whole. It's a very interesting combo, very strong, but very weird. I'm very I'm very hesitant to say it is incredibly weird. Either way, I think it's pretty damn decent. Me personally, in terms of early game playing Springtrap, all you really need to do is just travel to the farthest door and then just keep door hopping till you find survivors. It's pretty easy and pretty fast because of how strong his teleport power is, the fact that it's instantly available, and the fact that there's no cooldown, meaning that it is very forgiving in the early game for Springtrap if you're able to find survivors quickly. If you aren't, then survivors probably completely split up, which makes sense. That's the most optimal way to play the game. Even then, you should still be able to find someone within the first, I would say, 30, 40 seconds. Though, to be fair, some survivors are just really good at hiding and free running, so you never really know. Other than that, there's not much advice to give on Springtrap. The main takeaways from this should really be get that axe out of your inventory. You should never have it, genuinely. Never have it in your inventory, ever at all. It'll only fuck you over. And use the doors as much as possible. Me personally, in terms of placement on a tier list with killers, he's an easy B plus tier, B tier, B plus, somewhere around that area. I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with this take. He's a very average killer. He's all right. He's nothing special. He's okay, but he's not bad. He's decent. He's halfway decent. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Yeah. Most people agree with this. I would, however, like to see some changes made to him. I'm going to show you this in one moment. I'm going to go into a custom game for this. See, my main issue with Springtrap right now is mainly just quality of life changes. Maybe one that might give him a little bit more of a buff than might be necessary, but I assure you it would be definitely worth it and would actually make a part of his kit that is mostly useless kind of useful. That part mainly being his grab. In almost every situation, his grab is not good. You can't use it to outplay a survivor. It's purely and only good when a survivor is running in a straight line after being hit by your axe at close range. It's super situational and really bad, and it's also a pretty big part of his kit, somewhat. I mean, sure, it's not the best thing ever, but it just feels like it should have more of an impact on the gameplay than just being technically there and technically doable. Other than the grab, I think the only other thing that should be changed is just how the doors are. Because currently, well, let me show you. Let me show you how the doors are. I don't care about survivors. I have this build on because I was playing against some friends, but more importantly, let me show you this. My issue with doors is, okay, so I'm looking around looking for a door to go to, and if I'm just quickly flick to some doors, I don't know which one I'm looking at until a couple seconds have passed, because the only way for me to know what door I'm looking at is when that door turns red. As you can see, it takes like a second or two for the door to turn red. And when doors are close or far away from each other, or sorry, or close together, let's see if I can get to an angle where I can show you, because trust me, this is incredibly obnoxious. Hmm. No, that's not it. Oh wait, let's just go to the good door. Basically, if doors are very close together to each other, you can't travel to another door that is too close to your existing door. I don't think I can travel to this one, can I? I can. I can't get into an angle to show you. I think 7 might work. No, it doesn't work. Well, my point was going to be that doors can spawn in a very weird way where they're kind of overlapping each other, and flicking to a door is very obnoxious. Just the simple fact that you have to take a second or two to make sure you're looking at the doors. Like, look at this here. If I just flick over to this, and I'm trying to go to one of these doors, but I want to go to 5, and I just flick over, I have to wait a second to make sure I'm going to 5 and then readjust to make sure I'm going to 5. And there can be much worse door spawns than this. This is actually a pretty good door spawn, like radius and spread, but it can genuinely be very confusing and very obnoxious when I click to go to one door and I go to a different door. And I think that's a big change that needs to be made for him. That's just purely quality of life. I think the best thing that they could do is just make like a big arrow, make like a big red arrow over the top of it. And as for axe changes, I would love to see his lunge just automatically activate the grab because otherwise his axe just being in the back of a survivor isn't a threat in the slightest. Survivors will straight up just kidnap your axe and will just not take it out because there's really no point to. The only way that you're going to down them is tends to be through outplaying them in a loop, which means that you aren't going to get the axe prompt and you aren't going to grab the axe from their back, which means you aren't going to save time from picking them up. It's just logically really bad right now, and I would really like to see that buffed. But, sometimes we don't get what we want. There's a lot of other things that need to be fixed and a lot of things that take priority before that, so I really hope they focus on that first. Regardless, I hope you learned something from this. I hope you at least got a tiny bit more knowledge about how to play Springtrap, and I hope you enjoyed. You guys have a great night. Sleep well, rest up, and try to relax. See ya.